I want to kind of make a case for each one of these ways of working with Review Hunt. So I've got app maker, physical products, web app awareness, and advanced case studies. So this one's about apps in general. So for a brand new startup company, I would say the biggest thing that they need is they need the App Store reviews or the Google Play reviews. The more of those on the algorithm on either of those sites, the higher up in the rankings it gets. If they end up getting to something like App of the Day, then all of a sudden you end up with a lot of brand new users looking at your product. And so I'm thinking that's the core component of this, right? Is to build out quests that brand new users can sign up, step through your app, and go through all of the features that your app offers. And I think that's the real power for app makers, is that they get eyeballs on the product, and then you can kind of curate that to get feedback from that group of people, that small little test group, if you like, of people that come through Review Hunt. So if you look at any of the campaigns that are already on Review Hunt, the way they normally work is they start off with a very low priced quest 1, which is kind of like download the product, sign up. Quest 2, do an action, share that on Twitter, join our Discord, something like that. And then gradually, as you build up across the quests, at the moment I think they're like 1 to 5. By the time you get to number 5, it's kind of the biggest quest and the biggest payout. So people are kind of determined to go through all of the quests to get to that last one. So I think you can do really powerful things if you're an app maker and you kind of hit a brick wall in some ways of like, what features should we be rolling out? What do people actually use our application for? So you can do things like a type form questionnaire, for instance, which will help you get feedback of features that people want, and then you can do an average on that, and maybe even factor it into your social media content, so you can be putting stuff out every week to say, we had this feedback from you guys, the top 3 features were these, which one of these features should we work on in the next couple of weeks? And that keeps the momentum going, especially if you've got like a Discord channel or you're communicating to your audience via social media. You can just keep them in the loop that way. For instance, one of the apps that I just started using, Mosaic, just started to put out little video updates of progress in their sprints. So they do like fortnightly sprints of what they managed to get done, and using their own platform to communicate that. So shows confidence in the product, but it also brings people in who might have been away on holiday and things like that. Another thing I put was create an App Store video for the product using an asset pack you make. So this is kind of a no-brainer, really, is just get together with your graphics department, get your high-resolution images, get all the graphics and assets that you would like to see in a review video, because sometimes you get review videos that are not necessarily what you want to have or would retweet or reshare or even use in your social media strategy. So why not like curate that a little bit from the start by having an asset pack that people can download so that they can use it for overlays or lower thirds, or just so that all the videos you get are kind of they're pulled together or glued together with some of those assets. Now, I'm not saying that people will use those assets sensibly, but if you need to build a cohesive video from lots of different videos, so you might hear one particular awesome soundbite in one. If for instance, like there's a border around a video and you tell people, oh, use the border or use the lower thirds, then you can stitch them together nicely. Tell them to use their name and their job position, what they do. And then at least if that's on the screen at some point, you can do part of it's like introduce yourself, and then you could just stitch together all the intros and put that out via social media. So just think of Review Hunt not just for people reviewing your product, but also how can you mobilize them as a task force to help you build out your social media content for you, or assist in doing that, instead of just like, oh, we need content for our channel. Next thing I put is build a social media strategy that requires users' videos you stitch together. I just said that. Be brave. Keep in-house maybe for meetings what's missing in the app feature. I think this is a powerful one that people don't think about, is that sometimes when you're we have a very English expression of sometimes when you're at the front of the coalface, you don't realize what's happening around you in the mine. And I think this is very like lots of startups, is that you're so head down into the code, into the mission, into the I can't think of the word, but like, big whiteboard, and you're going through the structure of it. I think it's very important to have bravery to be able to ask people, like, what are we getting wrong? What do we need to do? What are we not focusing on? What bit of the experience that you're having is slowing you down or stopping you using the app? And that kind of feedback, you don't have to have that public. It can be just behind the scenes, and you can get your video editor to stitch that together, and then you can get the whole team around and just stick that on a projector or on a laptop and get everybody to watch it, and then everybody in the meeting can feed back on it. It's a really good way of diffusing situations where you kind of want one team member to get on board with your idea. It's better coming from your community. Don't plant stuff in your community, but like let the community feedback to you as to what they think, and then use that to debate around, rather than people being quiet or cagey or don't want to add to the complications of where they're at or the struggles that they're at. Sometimes using things like this can be really useful in a meeting scenario. So those are just some little reasons why I would use Review Hunt as a bit of a case study for app makers. At the end of the day, you're going to build more audience using Review Hunt, because you get lots of hunters, tech savvy hunters, who are interested in digging through your product and finding what it is, how it can be useful, and how they can ultimately use it in their day-to-day life.